Well, Anita and Anton, thank you so much for allowing me to revisit you on this gorgeous Tuesday morning after the presentation and you entrusting your property, your most valuable asset, with me on Saturday night. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for signing on the dotted line and giving me the opportunity to get you the best outcome for your property. So obviously, I call this the rules of engagement meeting because now that we're engaged, basically I've got the job. You've hired me. We now need to talk about what else is likely to happen throughout the the course of the sale process. So I've created a list that we can go through each item just so that I don't forget anything and you guys are well informed with everything that's going to happen or perhaps what's likely to happen so that it's not a surprise and you can react when it does happen. Are you okay with me going through a bit of a list? You happy with it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So who would be the best person to contact during the the sale process?
Look, I think if it's going to be mostly during the week, then I think Anita would be the best person to talk to.
So Anita, and I've got your number, Anita. Anton,
Mobile's the best.
your
Mobile's the
mobile,
best.
your mobile number. Is there any other number that I should be getting you on if your mobile's not available?
No, mobile is the best, yeah.
Okay. Now, Anton, as a secondary contact, if I can't get a hold of Anita, are you happy for me to contact you on your mobile as well?
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent, no problem. Now, obviously, I suppose the secondary type of information will be done via email. I've got both of your email addresses, so you're happy for me to email you?
Absolutely.
The only other way we might contact you or communicate with you is via text. So we won't be communicating with you in detail via text. It might just be appreciation or confirmation of an appointment or something like that. But in that respect, you're happy to text you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
No problem. Okay. So, do you have any special requests that you might want me to know about when I shouldn't be showing buyers through, that you don't want me to open the property, you don't want me to contact you? Is there anything like that?
Look, on a Wednesday afternoon, probably between 1 and 3.
Wednesday between 1 and 3, okay. No-go zone?
Yeah, if we could, thank you.
No problem. Okay, easy. All right. Okay. All right, so that leads me to the feedback. Okay, so I'm just going to run through how the feedback's going to work very quickly, and then I'll talk about some of the feedback in a bit more detail. So I'm going to give you a call after every home open, just give you quickly how many people were through. I'm then going to do the follow-up with all the buyers in detail, personally have a meaningful conversation with every single buyer, get their circumstances and what they thought of the property. I'm also going to ask, where they see value price-wise if they're interested, or where they think it'll sell, so we can get some really, really important feedback from them. I'm then going to ring you after that follow-up session. I'm going to ring you and give you just verbally whether we've got anybody that we're working with, and give you a quick indication of the feedback. I will then on a Monday morning compile all the feedback from the buyers, be it positive and negative, and I'll explain that in a second, okay? And we will drop it into what we call a vendor report, okay? The vendor report will give you some important facts like how long we've been on the market, how much we've spent out of the marketing budget, what the positive and negative feedback is, and exactly where the buyers are either seeing value price-wise or where they think it'll sell, okay? So you'll receive that on a Monday. Now, if I'm dealing with a buyer, you'll no doubt hear from me on a Monday afternoon as well via phone or perhaps a Tuesday. If you haven't heard from me by Tuesday afternoon, every Tuesday we will diarise to have a what I call a team meeting, okay? And at that team meeting, we're going to discuss what has happened in the previous week and what's likely to happen in the next week. And I've created something called a 14-day change-up policy. So every 7 days we'll have that meeting, but every 14 days, I'm going to ask you guys, all right, to do something different. Because the heart of insanity is keep doing the same thing and to expect a different result. So there's only 3 things that don't sell property. One is price, okay? And usually, if the property isn't getting activity and not getting offers, it's usually the price. So most of the time, we might need to react and bring the price to, I suppose, a more attractable figure to create interest, okay? Are you happy for me to come to you and let you know when we need to react?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay. The other one is promotion. Sometimes we may get to the end of our marketing budget, and I might need to come back to you, and we might need to map out another marketing campaign to once again attract more buyers to the property, so that I can endeavour to create a competitive environment and get the property sold. So when that time comes, are you happy for me to come back to you and let you know that we're out of budget?
Yes.
Okay. The last and other thing that and reason why properties don't sell is that perhaps the presentation isn't quite as good as what it was when we first listed it. It's absolutely gorgeous now, guys, so thank you so much. But sometimes the grass grows, sometimes we get rain and the windows need to be cleaned inside and out. Sometimes perhaps we've overlooked some patching and painting, perhaps some furniture needs to be moved around. So if we've used price and it hasn't worked and we've remarketed, sometimes we need to do a little bit of perhaps staging or something. If that's needed, I don't think it's going to be needed, but if we do get some feedback that we need to do something, you're happy for me to promote, come to you with regards to that.
Yes.
Okay, so that concludes the feedback and I suppose the vendor report, which is what you will receive on a Monday, and then of course the rest of the week you will just hear from us with regards to appointments. If you haven't heard from me by Thursday, I'll give you a quick call just to make sure you're all ready for the weekend's home opens, letting you know if we've got any new buyers who I've met who are going to want to attend, and then we'll start the cycle again and back into the home open. Do you think that type of feedback is going to be enough for us to keep you well informed, to hopefully get you the highest the market's prepared to pay?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So now I just want to talk, before I move on with feedback, when I spoke to you about two things there, the buyer feedback, I want to just let you know, guys, that first of all, I've never met a buyer who doesn't want a bargain. So the feedback from buyers, okay, even if they love the property, is going to be below what you're hoping for. It's my job to get a few of those together, get them to compete, and get you what you're hoping for and more. Okay, so I'm telling you, even the buyers who are interested are going to come in with low prices. The other type of feedback you will get is from what we call non-bias buyers. Non-bias buyers are the buyers who have been through the property and have discounted it for one or another reason. Too big, too small, wrong location, wrong price point. And I'm going to ask them, where do they think the property will sell? And they're going to give us some feedback on where they think the property is going to sell. Now, the ones that are educated and the ones that know more or less what properties are selling for are going to give us some feedback. I'm warning you in advance, guys, that feedback is also going to be low. And I'll tell you why, because there's no emotion attached to them. Now, some of it's going to be quite accurate based on what they've seen, but they're not buyers, so they're not adding on the extra 5, 10 or 15 or 20,000 for the love, which is what we're going to hopefully get out of them. So unfortunately, most of the feedback that you're going to be getting, either verbally or in that written report, is going to be low. Don't shoot the messenger. It's not what I'm saying. It's what the buyers are saying. But it is really, really important that you get that feedback, warts and all. You might also get some, I'm going to give you some positive feedback. People who love the property thought that one particular thing was good about it. But there might be some people, when I say to them, so what didn't you like about the property, or why you're not moving forward with the property, they're going to give us some negative feedback as well. So I want you guys to also be aware that it's not what I'm saying, it's what the buyers are saying. Are you happy for me to give you the feedback regarding price, warts and all? And are you happy for me to give you the positive and negative feedback, warts and all?
Yes.
Yeah,
Happy with that?
yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's great. Now, this is something I also tend to do. I like to keep you guys well in tune, because now we're temporarily in the same business. You guys are selling your property. I sell properties all the time. And we keep a very sharp eye and our finger on the pulse with regards to what's happening in the marketplace. Now, one of the things that really affects the market and really affects buyer behavior is the media. So what I might do, I may or may not, depending on what comes out, if there's some fantastically good news, I might pop that into the vendor report or email that to you from time to time. If there's some bad news about the market, okay, I'm also going to pop that in the vendor report or email it to you from time to time, because it's very important that you know why the buyers are behaving the way they are, because one of the biggest factors affecting buyer behavior is the media, and I think we all need to be aware of what the media is saying about the market, especially while you're selling. Are you okay for me to possibly send you some good news articles and also some bad news articles. You happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. The next thing is what I call telling the story. It's a very, it's just the way I market that I have great success with. Unfortunately, there's a lot of sellers on the market who are not really selling. They either testing the market or hoping for some ambitious price that's possibly not there. So you can imagine how frustrating that is for buyers having to scour through all these properties to find sellers that are genuinely selling. Now, in our lead up to getting the listing, and now you guys have shared the story with me that you having a beach change. Obviously, the kids have moved out and you have decided to move to be closer to the beach, which is a great goal to achieve, and I'm sure it's very, very exciting. Now, what I'm going to ask is if I can maybe tell that story and use that in our heading so that we attract buyers, and create a feeding frenzy, because buyers respond. Buyers react to sellers who tell them the truth, tell them the story. So the kind of story that I'd be telling, it's 16 years you guys have been here, right?
Correct.
So I might say free at last is the heading, and that's just going to attract people. It's a bit quirky, and bear with me on this one. I might say free at last. After 16 happy years, the sellers' kids have gone off to uni, and it's time to make the beach change that they've always desired. Property will be sold. Can you see how that will attract a lot of buyers going, well, geez, they're really motivated to sell, and I'm gonna put this on my shopping list. Does that make sense, Anton?
Absolutely, it does.
Anita?
Yes, certainly does.
So you're happy with that story that I kind of put together before I got you?
Yes.
Awesome. So you're happy with me telling the story? Excellent. Okay. Spoken about the 14-day change-up policy. There's two more things I'd like to discuss with you, and thank you so much. I don't like taking up a lot of your time, but this is so, so important. Okay. So obviously, I've spoken about reacting on the 14-day change-up policy. There's one other thing that we need to react to, okay, and that is if new properties come to the market in this general area and they come on the market below what we're advertising for and they're comparable properties, you need to be made aware of what's coming on the market. You also need to be made aware of any new sales that have happened, okay, that have now come in perhaps below where the comparative sales that we used when we listed the property have come in. So I call this kind of an ongoing reappraisal system. So I'll probably reappraise the property every 4 weeks. Obviously, if we sell it within that time frame, of course we won't. But if we're not selling the property, probably every 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to reappraise the property to find out where it sits in the marketplace. Now, that might be great news. It might have increased, okay? But in some certain markets where we're seeing a slowdown, that might have decreased. Are you happy for me to reappraise the property every, 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, whatever it takes to
Sure.
get the property sold.
Does it make sense to
Yeah.
reappraise and keep our finger on the pulse as to what prices are happening? So you're happy for the reappraisal to happen? That's cool. All right, there's one other thing I just want to talk to you about is sometimes we get an early offer. And sometimes we have it on for a few days and bang, we get an early offer. And sometimes that early offer is a good offer, but it's kind of not kind of what you guys were hoping for. So maybe 10 or 15 grand away. All right. And in my experience, sometimes when we get an early offer and the sellers have just hit the market and they go, well, if that's our first offer, surely we'll be able to get more. And in a lot of cases, sometimes in most cases, okay, we can't get them more and they end up having to accept less. Now, I'm not telling you that this is going to happen, but I just want to let you know that if we launch, on Thursday and we end up getting an offer before and it's, close to the mark, I'm going to be giving you some feedback and letting you know what I think about that offer. So, we don't want to miss out on early offers and an early result, only to find out later that you're losing 10, 15, 20, maybe 30,000. You've obviously seen and heard of this before, where people knock back an early offer thinking that they're going to get more and end up... So I just want to mention the early offer, and it's very possible. It's a gorgeous property. But, we need to, grade offers as they come with the utmost importance, because they might be the offer that may buy your property. We'll still negotiate and get them as high as we possibly can, but sometimes, and it happens more often than you than you probably are aware of, that the early offer gets rejected and we're unable to actually make that same price again. So, but I'll let you know if I think, would you be happy if I told you that I felt that it was the right offer for the market? Do you want me to tell you that? When I think the right offer has come along, do you want me to tell you guys, in all my experience to date, based on market conditions, all the buyer feedback, this is what I think the highest probable selling price is. Do you want me to tell you that when it comes in?
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
That's
So-
why I hired you.
Sure. Okay. Is there any other questions, guys, before we get the photographer to do his stuff and perhaps get the video done? Any other questions?
Just the question in and around the sort of feedback you get from buyers who come through our home opens.
Yes.
How valuable is that feedback if we know that they're going to be lowballing us?
Well, the buyers possibly will be lowballing you, but it's important because we want to kind of gauge where they're at so that we can create that competitive environment. And, sometimes we've got to feed their greed a little bit. We've got to say, okay, fair enough, you think you can get it at that price. Who's to say that you won't? So we kind of get them in, and then we try to create competitive environments by getting multiple offers or multiple bids. Okay, so, but yes, you might feel that that's feedback that you don't need, but we need to know where they are so we know where we need to get them to. Now, actually, the other feedback from non-buyers buyers, that's actually feedback that I really want you guys to take some serious consideration of, because buyers who've been through the property and given us feedback, who know the area, they're actually genuinely looking in the area, but your property doesn't suit for another reason. They have no reason to lie to us. They might just come in slightly conservative because, as I said, there's no emotion in it. But the non-buyer's feedback is actually very, very important feedback. And sometimes we end up getting a result very close to where kind of the middle of the range non-biased feedback is. So even though your genuine buyers who want to steal the property, I've never met a buyer who doesn't want to bargain, okay, they're going to lowball us, absolutely. The non-biased buyers, especially the way I conduct that conversation, it's really, really in a trusting kind of format, and I say, look guys, where do you think it'll sell?
Do you sort of try and qualify where they're getting their price from? Or
Absolutely.
Where they're getting their feedback from?
Absolutely. If I get some feedback, I might say, so what made you say that figure? And they might compare it to another property, or they may compare it to something that they've missed out on or something like that. So qualifying is absolutely paramount. Look, what we do is have meaningful conversations with every single buyer, extracting as much information out of them so that we can build a picture and build a profile so that we can find out if they're someone who we're going to be using to create a competitive environment and drive the price up, or perhaps it's someone that is not going to be someone who's going to contribute to the sale of your property.
No problem. Any questions?
Any questions, Anita?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Were you happy so far?
Yes, thank you.
I know this might be a little bit of a a rude awakening, but we need to sort of talk about the nuts and bolts as well as the big flamboyant 5-stage selling strategy that we did on Saturday night. This is kind of talking about how we're going to roll out, how we're going to give the feedback and the service. Anton, any questions?
I'm happy. Thanks so much for your time.
Anita, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Good luck, and I look forward to
Thank you.
presenting your property on the open market.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful day.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.